myself. Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and it's Friday, and that means fan mail and Q&A, starting with the Q&A. So, what do we got here? William Roberts asked, have you thought of doing one of those emblems on a second mask? Have a mask for HVZ and a second for Wars. I think it would look sick on your mask. I don't actually wear the mask for HVZ because college campus has issues with people wearing masks and running around with what appear to be weapons. And I did vaguely consider it, but I couldn't think of a good spot to put it. I didn't think it would look well, like, you know, centered like bullseye or on the side or something. I have considered getting a second mask and painting it half of it orange because it would match my colors and then I'd look like Deathstroke, but since I don't have anywhere near his level of skills, it seemed presumptuous. Chris asks, hey Cap, I love your vids, can't wait for more. Also, what are your thoughts on the new Nerf Nemesis and Regulator? Regards, Chris. The Nemesis, to me, kind of feels like the end game. What are they going to come out with next? They now have a 100 round capacity full auto rifle shooter. Where do you go from there? I have my own plans to build a ridiculous rival shooter, but yeah, it's kind of a everyone's going to have one of these, and that's pretty much going to be it. But I want one. And the Regulator, I would like to get my hands on a Regulator too. I'm not a huge fan of the shell, the fact that the magazine well is so far from the grip, which is kind of weird to me, and I don't know why they needed to do that, if it's part of the mechanism or if they just chose to do it that way. But the idea of a select fire blaster, I really like that. I would love to have a select fire rapid strike at some point in my life. What I really like about the Regulator is all of the attachments, because I like all things modular. And the stock actually looks like a stock that takes a magazine that isn't flimsy, and all of the barrel attachments that have reverse rail, that makes doing master keys really easy, and I just think that's a cool idea. So I will probably get my hands on one as soon as I can, and it will be lovely. Jaffa Cree 123 asks, hey, do you think that if you put a flywheel cage in a Stampede, it would be any good? It depends on how you're doing it. If you're just completely replacing the internals, well, then it's going to be as good as any flywheel blaster you build. If, on the other hand, you're using it as an afterburner so that the Stampede's original mechanism fires a dart into flywheels, I have no idea how well that would work. I have a friend who did something similar with a Vulcan, which I think is actually a question later on. He put a flywheel afterburner on a Vulcan, so the Vulcan shoots the darts into the flywheel, and it works magnificently and is terrifying and fantastic. So, given that the Stampede and the Vulcan have basically the same internals, I think it would probably work just fine. John Lewis asked, are clear night finders rarer than normal ones? I have two. I haven't the foggiest idea what the percentage of, like, the clear and the sonic and, you know, all of the non-standard color ones were compared to normal ones. But they're probably more rare. I don't know if that makes them any more valuable. The Garden Vault 125. How often do you think that you will make Goodwill runs? I was planning to do one every month, but I ran out of room. Because I got so busy with so many other things that I didn't have time to keep my Etsy page up to date and thus keep rotating out stock. And so I now really, if I did another Goodwill run, it'd just end up in bins in a corner somewhere, and I don't want to do that. I like having my shop organized. Once I get my Etsy shop up, which I swear I'm getting closer to, I finally inventoried some of my stuff, and I can start clearing out some of my stock, then I will probably start doing Goodwill runs again. I do still occasionally go to them, I just don't do the big 10 Goodwill loop, just because it ends up with way too much stock, but we will see what the future holds. Victor Samuel, Captain Xavier, why don't you do Stravens? I don't do Stravens for religious reasons. I consider them to be a heresy against the gods of war. Because you're taking a beautiful blaster, the Raven, which is both rare and fantastic, and you're destroying it just to make a stock for a Strife that can hold a magazine. There are already stocks that hold magazines. You could put a modulus stock. There's aftermarket stocks that hold magazines. There are better ways to have a magazine holder in your stock than to destroy a rare blaster. Now, I don't have any issue with Strife bolts, which is the same thing but done with a crossbolt, because the crossbolt's not a particularly good or rare blaster. And somebody, there's another question further down about this, so we'll get to that eventually. But that's why. I don't think I don't like the look of them, and I don't like the idea of destroying a Raven. Now, if you could make make one that used the Raven's flywheel cage and fired it into the Strice flywheel cage as an afterburner, that would be a really cool idea. But I don't think I've ever heard of anybody doing that. I have seen a couple of Stravens that were done that I approved of because the front end of the Raven had been destroyed, damaged, run over, or broken in some manner. And so they made it into a Straven. And that I approve of, because that's not destroying a functional Raven. That's giving new life to a dead Raven, of which I do approve. Elijah Whiley. Do you do surprise me commissions? I don't even know exactly what that means. I assume that's you send me a pile of cash and I make you a blaster and you have no idea what it's getting. And no, I don't. Partly because I'm not doing commissions at all, and second of all because that I don't know. Just no. Nerf Decimator asks, what is better in power, Ultimator or Titan? I don't know. I've only ever held an Ultimator once or twice, and I didn't actually get to compare them. Now, the Ultimator is not an air blaster, which I thought it was. I thought the little handle on the top was, in fact, a pump, and that you were pumping up an air tank just like a Titan, but that is not, in fact, the case. The thing on the top is actually a ratchet that, it's a winch that ratchets back an enormous plunger tube. So it's actually a Springer. And so I have no idea how they compare power-wise. I've never opened one up or tinkered with one. I would love to. I know Walcom has one. I was there when we found it in Goodwill. And I know the Curator has one. And another friend of mine got one on Craigslist, but I have yet to get my hands on an Ultimator. Give me time. LazGamer4468. Are you married? No. I was nearly married once, but thankfully it didn't work out. Brendan Trantham. What kind of darts do you use? I tend to use FVJs as my standard ammunition. I do also have a lot of actual, just regular elites around. And I've got guns that shoot mega rounds. I've got things that shoot demolishers. But my standard ammunition that I buy in bulk are FVJs that I get off Amazon, I think, or Alibaba somewhere. I don't know. I buy them by the thousand. So Barbros Studios asks, how do I make my strong arm slam fire only? You can glue the trigger. If you just pull the trigger into its final position and just super glue it, or put a screw in. Just whatever you can do to make the trigger constantly pulled so that when you slam fire, it'll activate. Zachary's Y-Tube. Anyone ever bayonet rush you at a war yet? Not that I know of, because I don't think anyone at any of the wars I've been to had bayonets. There was a guy who had a Maverick that was built into an enormous sword. And I know there was a guy who had a sword that was a blowgun, but I can't think of anyone who's ever charged me with a bayonet. Bowie Jerkley. Do you like memes? I do like the occasional meme, though it depends on the meme. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm not really sure what qualifies as a meme. I think I'm too old to truly grasp that concept. Nerfing Preacher. Where did you learn the Hema arts? The earliest medieval training I had was in a group called the Empire of Adria. They didn't have any actual, codified. They weren't going out of any combat manuals or anything like that, plates or any of that. And then I got into Olympic fencing, which could arguably be considered a form of Hema, though it's really, the stuff they do nowadays is completely modern and sporterized and has no real bearing to, dueling back in the day. If you handed a modern Olympic fencer a rapier, you'd have no idea what to do with it. And likewise, if you handed, an ancient rapier fencer a foil, he'd probably get very confused. Since then, the first place I learned German longsword was in a Ren Fair in Wisconsin, at the Bristol Ren Fair. I worked there for a summer, and they did Talhofer style, and so I learned a little bit of that, and then studied a little bit of it afterwards. And then, most recently, I joined Grit City Hema, and they teach Lichtenhauer's German longsword. So Loving that. Having loads of fun with that. Nerf Guy on the Beach asks, do you heavy fight within the SCA? I have fought against the SCA people every once in a while. I'll run into them in a park and suit up and fight them. And I've fought with them at some Ren fairs as part of their demos, and I've fought with them rapier more commonly. But most of my heavy fighting was done in the Empire of Adria, which uses steel weapons instead of rattan weapons. I have not fought armored in a long time, though, and I need to get back into it. Pigfish99 asks, do you have any projects that were completely scrapped and that they didn't work at all? Yes. I've had a number long time ago, before I knew anything about the major Nerf community. I did try to put, I think it was an ultimate blast bazooka into a long shot, and failed miserably. This was before the XBZ had come out, and so I tried that, and I never got anywhere with it. That was one of the early mods that I tried to do. I was trying to build an air-powered sniper rifle, and it failed miserably. I also then had plans to build one of the rocket launchers from Halo, the double rocket launcher, also using ultimate blast bazookas, and never finished that because I discovered drain blasters and that they were much, much easier to work with. And that's where I just built my bazooka and called it a day. I do now have plans to build some more interesting rocket launchers. We will see how they pan out. I may need to order some more parts, but we will see. Zachary Johnson, hey Captain, how long can one make a Vulcan belt? As long as you have Vulcan belts. I've heard of people who've done 100. I've only ever done 50, but I have enough to do probably 300, maybe? I'm not sure how many Vulcan belts I had. But there's really no limit. As long as you have a way to feed the Vulcan, it'll work fine. Either you need a two-man crew and someone literally feeding it in, or some sort of a box to hold the weight so it's not all hanging off of the rotation mech, because it won't be able to turn them all at once. Aiden Pizzini, will you make a Stefan Hopper attachment for Ire? It would be interesting for NIC. No. I don't like hoppers. I think they're hideous and impractical, and I would never shame Ire by putting one on there. There are a couple of blasters that I've kind of considered going, it might be worth looking into. But I have other plans for how I want to deal with high-powered air blasters for high-capacity ammunition. So we will get into that eventually. Brian Kersey, you always reference cosplay and roleplay. Do you think you'll ever do videos about it? Also, do you ever wear costumes at convictions? I assume you mean conventions. Yes, I really want to get into professional level cosplay just because I think it would be fun. I'm more interested in the making. I want to find somebody who does cosplay and help them make the costumes, though I wouldn't mind doing some myself. I'd like to do, the really fancy LARP, or not LARP, cosplay armor, out of Warbler or foam or any of that stuff. And yes, I would love to go to a convention. The last convention I went to Mythic Worlds, which was a fantasy convention. Didn't have much of a costume at that. Many, many years ago, I went to a steampunk convention called SteamCon, and I took my gothic armor and I steampunked it. I made an underarm Gatling gun with a bayonet and gas mask and all of that stuff onto my plate armor, and it actually was a lot of fun. But walking around a convention all day in actual armor, I don't recommend it. I understand now why they make their armor out of plastic and foam. Because 8 or 9, 10 hours in 40 pounds of steel gets old fast. AKA Gainsey, I got a question for next time. What are your thoughts on the Rivals series? You, Wallcom, and your crew seem to just use dart blasters, but I follow a few other Nerf tubers who mix between dart blasters and Rivals, but seem to favor the Rivals. They, I believe, are mostly in California, so it's just a Cali thing to go Rival? Don't know. Out of Darts is, of course, pretty much the biggest name that I know in Rival Blasters, because he's built, the Hurricane and the Proton Pack. He and I have been discussing some designs. Like I said, I want to build an insane Rival Blaster, and I have the plans, and I've got most of the parts, and I'm working with him to come up with something that I think will be relatively spectacular. But that'll probably really be the only Rival Blaster I ever run. I like standard blasters because I like, that they take magazines and which fit well in holsters, and I like that they're vaguely more gun-like. But I cannot argue against the Rivals accuracy and range and all of that jazz, especially out of the box. And once modded, they're crazy. So, like I said, I would like a Nemesis just because they're awesome. E. Hellbrand. What are your thoughts about flywheel afterburner units for air-powered blasters, i.e. an afterburner unit on a Vulcan? Well, like I said, I have a friend who built one, and it's fantastic. So, if you can get the flywheels going fast enough to actually be faster than the gun is shooting, then they're incredibly powerful. The Mod Moose, which is a magnificent name. Chaylo, would you ever consider putting rapid strike internals in a Stampede, or attach 2 shields to one handle and last but not least, make a Nerf Magnus take any kind of foam darts? No, I would probably never put rapid strike internals in a Stampede just because I like the Stampede more than the rapid strike, so I don't really feel the point. I would like to build another Stampede strike, though, for myself. 2 shields on one handle. How does that work? Do you mean like the Stampede shield? I knew going guy who glued 2 of them upside down, or one upside down on another one, and then rail attaches it to his guns to give him a fairly good shield. And I have a bunch of Stampede shields, so I'm considering doing that. But I came up with other shields that I think are better. And let's see, Magnus that can fire any foam dart. No, I had never considered that. I can think of more efficient ways to go about making a blaster that can shoot anything. The Magnus having an internal magazine does not lend itself well to being that level of modular, but I'd love to see it if somebody else did it. And finally, Asher Petkovich asks, are Chinese Raven ripoffs good for Stravens? That I would be okay with. I still don't want to do them because I don't like that level of integration, but I would be less inclined to consider that an act of heresy if someone else were to do it. Okay. That's all the questions for today. If you want your questions, put them on the comments of this video, and we'll take a look at it next time. Alright, on to the fan mail! Swag! Swag! Oh god, I'm stuck. Trapped. Back up. Leave off. Alright, now for the fun part of the video, or at least the fun part for me, because I get stuff and I get to read mail. I added the Q&A portion because I wasn't getting nearly as much fan mail as I had been, and I wanted to kind of add more to the videos, and then this week, I get 2 letters and 6 packages, so that just goes to show you. So, we will start with the letters. Oh, good lord, I wish my handwriting was that pretty. From Laser Bear? This is not his real address. It's 555 Information Superhighway, World Wide Web. Dear Captain Xavier, I've been a fan of yours since I saw Walcom feature your loadout, and since then you've been quickly becoming one of my favorite YouTubers. As a fellow huge nerd with similar interest, I'm excited to see how your channel is growing, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you and your little slice of the internet. Recently, you've shown off some of your medieval kit and some footage of your fencing, and I'm curious what your favorite weapons or styles are. Personally, I've drawn to cut and thrust swords, especially paired within an offhand weapon like dagger or buckler. I'm pumped to see the growing popularity of Hema across the country, and there's even a small but thriving club in my town that I intend to join when I have the time and money to make it happen. I favor all kinds of different styles. It depends on what kind of combat I'm doing, who I'm fighting, what my mood is. For war, my company generally went with kind of a cross between an English pike block and a Roman shield wall. The Roman Legion shield wall. We used tower shields, we used pikes, we used javelins, we used archers. Mixed or combined arms warfare was our thing, and it made us incredibly powerful. For personal dueling, once again, it depends on who I'm fighting. If I really, really want to win for some reason, I will usually fight dual rapier. I've got a long one and a short one. If I'm having a little bit more fun with it, I like using something offhand. I have a chainmailed glove that I can use. I used to fence with sword and a small paddle because my character was a pirate. I like fighting with dagger. I like buckler. Cloak and dagger is a really fun style. I wanted to get into Hemas, particularly the German longsword, because my character's time period was the Gothic era, the late 1500s, early 1600s, and so that was the sword style from that time period. That was the dueling style of that era. The rapier hadn't quite come out yet. And it's definitely the sword that goes with my armor, but I've never owned one because The German longsword is not a good weapon for war, and that's what I typically fought in, were field battles. And a two-handed sword, a hand and a half sword, just is not a good weapon on a field of battle when you're up against guys with shields, guys with pikes, fighting against archers. It's just not, there are better weapons to use. It's a beautiful weapon. I absolutely love it, and I want one someday. But I haven't bothered because there were better weapons for fighting again in the environment that I was fighting in. So I like all styles. Being pretty green at Nerf modding, I don't have any awesome projects to share with you, but I have a component you might be interested in. I thrifted a Busby rapid-fire tech with half-baked plans of cannibalizing the metal lever and transplanting it onto a sling fire, and the rest of the parts are sitting on my bench with no plans for them. I know you broke the plunger rod on your own blaster when you tried to put K26 into it, and you mentioned possibly finding another one to reinforce it and experiment with. If you're interested, I'd be glad to give you the plunger assembly from mine. Here's to many more years of fantastic nerfery, Laser Bear. I would absolutely, graciously accept another plunger rod because I would like to get mine fixed. So that would be excellent. And you, sir, are awesome. Yeah. Laser Bear. That is, I'm going to have to look you up because that sounds fantastic. Look him up. Laser Bear. He's out there somewhere. All right, next letter. Dear Chaylo, hello, greetings from 34 miles north. I love your channel, and my favorite vids are your mod overviews. Oh, he is from Seattle. You are a super awesome YouTube content creator. Also, by any chance, could you trade a long shot bolt sled? Mine broke, and the cheapest one I can find is $25. I'm so sorry for my bad handwriting. You should see mine. Sincerely, Holden. Yeah, I will check my parts bin. I probably have 1 or 2 dead bolt sleds. Someone else asked me for the plunger tube, so hopefully I can find a cannibalized long shot around here somewhere. Yeah, that would be quite possible. You're close enough, you could come visit if you'd want to. Have your parents email me at my commission email address, and we might be able to set up a meeting. You can come by my shop. So, yeah. Then we can dig through the bins together and you can find whatever parts you need. Alright, packages, where to start? I'm going to start with this, because it intrigues me. I have no idea what it is, or where it came from. Oh, right. Oh, yes. A fellow contacted me and wanted to know if I had any interest in acquiring a bunch of Titan tanks. And I said, yes. They've been well and thoroughly mangled. Hopefully, they all still take air and hold pressure. Even if they don't, I'm sure I can find a use for them. So, these. Oh, do I have plans for these. All right. Titan tanks galore. And 1 long spring. Next. I think I'm going to go with this one. This one actually comes to me from my own little sister in Clarkston. It contains a letter. Hey, bro! Congratulations! I'm so proud to be able to say that I have a sibling who's a minor YouTube celebrity. Minor is right. You perform your videos with an authority and enthusiasm that I envy. What's more, you are making videos faster than I can watch them. One of these days I will catch up. I have been putting out a lot of videos. In the meantime, here are a few things for your enjoyment. As for the Nerf pistol, I must confess I did not actually purchase it. Kind of a funny story behind it. I was strolling through the local park and saw a few of the blue darts scattered around. I might have collected them before, but some boys were already snatching them up. I didn't think much of it at the time. Later I discovered that for some reason they hadn't found the gun that was just lying in the grass nearby. I would have given it to them, but by then they had left the park. I went ahead and did some searching and managed to find 3 more blue darts that had not been picked up and found the green dart near the picnic tables. My guess is that there was a Nerf gun birthday party and some items got left behind, so I decided to send them to a good home. You are a great inspiration to me, Captain. In fact, I hope on making my own YouTube channel. As a professional massage therapist, I plan for it to somehow cater to the massage natural health care community and not the nerfing community.
but any advice you can give me would be very much appreciated. Also, just wanted to ask, what exactly is the big deal with the K26? Your big fan insists, Chaylo Laurino. P.S. Have you thought of setting up a Patreon account? Okay, so I can't wait to find out what exactly. It's probably a jolt. I hope it's a jolt. Please be a jolt. Advice, yeah, find your niche. There's the reason I do a lot of the stuff I do, like K26. K26 is a specific spring. It got the name because Karmic Master sells it. They're a hardware store company. And K26 are the last 3 digits of the part number from their website. And so people just refer to it as K26. And it's a very powerful spring, and it fits in a lot of Nerf guns, which is why I did it. I started my series of Can It Take a K26 because I tried to order 1 K26 spring and ended up with 15 of them. And so I had all this K26 and had no idea what to do with it, so I decided to just try shoving it in everything, and I decided to make a show out of it. So that's kind of that's my thing now. That's what I'm known for now, which I'm okay with. So yeah, something like from massage therapy, giving advice, giving, you know, what's good, what isn't good. If you could tell them, you know, what they should look for in a massage therapist and what things they would be, you know, this is a red flag that this isn't a person you should go to. That would actually be very, very useful to people, I think, and that would make a good video. So yeah. I have actually considered setting up a Patreon account. I actually did create a Patreon account, but I haven't gone live with it because I haven't needed the money. The only kind of things that I ever really even considered putting up a Patreon account for was, or actually it would be more, as for a Patreon account, I actually did create one when I first started my channel, but I didn't need the money, so I didn't actually publish it, didn't go live with it. And at the time, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to put out enough quality content to justify having a Patreon account. I have considered putting up a GoFundMe or, you know, basically, yeah. I have considered doing a GoFundMe in order to pay for things like a 3D printer and get a really nice one so I could do even better commissions. But one of the local Nerfers recently ordered one and realized he didn't have anywhere to put it, so he plans to store it in my shop, and I'm going to charge him rent in the form of using it occasionally. I'll pay for filament and all that, and yeah, I'll pretty much have it running 24/7 here in my shop, pumping out all sorts of fun stuff for mods and commissions when the time comes. So there is that. All right, let's see what my little sister has given me. Tootsie Roll Mini Bytes. Where was this when I was a child? Tootsie Rolls that you don't have to unwrap? That is magnificent. Gummies! A whole bag of cherry gummy bears. That's fantastic. I love gummy bears, by the way. A candy toilet. Sour flush. That is magnificent and hilarious. And what is it? It's a Tech 3. But a newer one. I've never seen one with a barrel quite like that before. That is interesting. And these are aftermarket darts. This is an Elite, you know, Zombie Strike Elite, but these are FVJs. Fascinating. Whoever was playing in that Nerf was not just a bunch of random kids. They had something a little more interesting. So, that is awesome. Thank you so much. I hope to see you again at the next family event. My back has been wonderful as of late, so I have not been desperately missing the occasional massage, but they are nice. So, alright, on to the next package. Let's go with the little one. Somebody warned me that I should be on the lookout for this, and here it is. It's got a skull on it, which is awesome. Alright, let's see what we got here. Nope, a note. Read first. Greetings, Captain. It is me again, Pignus Man 7. I sent you the Lego figure of your gear, which was awesome, by the way, and I have brought you more Lego stuff. Yes! Plus, some other goodies. Since we last talked, I painted up a rough cut, picture included, and thrifted a Magnus. Speaking of that Magnus, what should I do with it? Paint it up in my usual badass style, or do your boss shotgun build? I would do both. Do it into my shotgun build, and then paint it in your particular style. Anyways, in one of your videos, May the 4th, I believe, you said you really connect to Mandalorians, so I painted up and customized a minifigure for you. That is awesome. With him, he has an arsenal of a DL-44 heavy blaster pistol, a salvaged DC-15A blaster rifle from the Clone Wars, a stolen E-11 Stormtrooper blaster, heavily modified, and a rare Cartosis blade. Cortosis is a very rare mineral that shorts out most lightsabers and can combat them too. Well, that's just awesome. Also included is a pizza and a cheap LED rave light that I thought you would like. In the other bag, there's a land shark and a turkey. Great for a feast. Land shark? Other things include the absolver that rolled into my package from you, some darts, a horse, some Star Wars Pez dispensers, and some OG 1970s and 80s Star Wars figures. Oh, in return for all this, I would like a surprise blaster or some knickknacks. Hope I'm not asking too much. Keep up the content. Much love, Gabe Kubi, aka Pignus Man 7. You, sir, have earned yourself a blaster, and I haven't even looked at what's in here yet. Alright, what do we got? Childhood? Oh, I had these when I was wee. I had the Stormtrooper, I had the AT-AT pilot, the Snowtrooper was always my favorite. That is magnificent. Oh, a couple of darts, a little Valentine's dart, an R2 Pez dispenser, a C-3PO Pez dispenser. I have a Darth Vader one, and I have a Boba Fett Pez dispenser that I use to dispense my allergy meds in the spring because I'm allergic to grass. Haven't had a problem here, though, so it may be a very specific grass that only grows in Idaho, which will be awesome. Or it just hasn't bloomed yet. Who knows? But those are awesome. They will go to my Pez dispenser collection. You know, I actually don't have a white horse, the newer white horses with the articulated legs. I only have the older ones, so that is super cool. Oh my goodness. I never had IG-88 as a kid. That is one I did not have. Did I have any of the bounty hunters? I don't think I did, actually. That is awesome. My custom Mandalorian. Let's take a look. Oh. Well, look at that. Does it just turn on and stay on? Those are actually kind of bright. How do you turn it? Oh, okay. Turn on, turn off. Yes! I am fairly certain I can find a use for that, sir. A pizza! A small Lego pizza. Huh. Oh, you made a custom cloak for him. And painted him up. Okay, yeah. The blade. Yep. That is quite definitely... Brick arms? Brick arms. I think that's what it is. Sweet! I did not have the clone... Hold still! I did not have the Clone Wars one. I know. Oh, and he's in my colors. That is so cool! You put the backpack on a custom breastplate. That is awesome. He will be going with my other Mandalorian. And that is magnificent! Alright, we got some more darts. Let's see, what do we got here? A land shark. That is magnificent. I do not have a great white shark, actually. That was another piece that I, oddly enough, didn't have. I also did not have the turkey. I think I have one of the turkey legs, but I never had the full turkey. And my castle does have a feast hall that has been lacking a turkey. And now I have the turkey. You, sir, are awesome. You, sir, have earned yourself a blaster. I need to write this down or I'm going to forget. A Pez! Now. And last but not least, the absolver. And I tore my shop apart looking for this, and it turned out I'd accidentally mailed it to him, which is fantastic. I can finally do the video on the absolvers that a fan 3D printed for me that came out gorgeously. And this was the one that I was missing. He sent me two that were identical and one that was different, and unfortunately the one that was different was the one that got mailed, so I couldn't do the video. So, I'll be doing that, and of course, darts, because you can never have too many darts. Alright, Jake, you, sir, are magnificent. And I am looking forward to building something fun for you now. This is fantastic. Who's next? We'll go for the next small one. Dear Captain Xavier, hello, my name is Jack. Here is my part of the mod exchange. In this modified Nightfinder is a strong arm spring along with the original spring. I increased the plunger head and tube. I have minimized it and couplered it. I made a speed loader for it also. Sorry for the messy epoxy putty, it was my first time using it. I also included some cards that I got when I was younger. P.S. One of my letters I told you I was testing for my Don black belt, and I'm pretty sure I passed. Well, congratulations, Jack. That is awesome. Let's see what we have in here. We have a minimized Nightfinder. You know, I didn't think I would like a minimized Nightfinder that much, but I really like the feel of that. That looks really nice, all minimized. And he's got the speed load coupler. Fabulous. AR has clearly been removed. Yes, I believe oh gosh, I hope you're the person I'm thinking of, because I started a build for somebody, and now I couldn't remember who. But, yes, I'm adding this to the list of things I need to finish. That's really nice. I like the paint job, and I like the minimized look. Very nicely done. I will make one to match, or something similar. Next package. All right. We're gonna go with this one. Not for unboxing / fan video. I object. Last, but I suspect not least, we have this big package, which, well, I know what it is. I know some of what's in here. I don't know all. All right. Yep, you saw it. Chaylo! Close enough. Here is the crossbow and Zeus. Totally not 2 gifts in the box or anything. Dodge Setter looks amazing. He is perfect, and I will cherish him forever. The weird wannabe Flip Fury is a Zuru X-Shot thing, and the mini fig is a Marvel Comics Vulture minifig. I ask 2 things. 1, can the Zuru take a K-26? And 2, can the Vulture take a K-26? Thank you for trading with me, Aiden. P.S. Sorry my handwriting sucks. Like I said, you should see mine. Alright, you heard it. Let's take a look and see what he sent me. Skittles! Surprise! Oh! Yeah! One of these that shoots darts and discs and has a rotating cylinder. We will find out if this can take a K-26 in the near future. I've been trying to get all of the flipping rotating cylinder blasters, and I think I have them all now. So yes, that will be in a upcoming episode. Oh good lord. We will get to that. Oh, in here we have the remains of a Zeus. So, as the story goes, they attempted to open it up and make it full auto using, you know, the guides that are online on how to do it, and they managed to do it, they think, but then they couldn't figure out how to put it back together. So they've sent it to me to put it back together, which I've never opened up one of these, so I'm actually looking forward to tinkering with one. And, well, you've already seen glimpses of it. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, my very own 95 crossbow. It's a bit beat up, it doesn't have the prods, and I love it. Oh, it works and everything. Oh, yes, I am pleased. I am going to do wonderful and terrible things to this. This young fellow contacted me and said he had one, and would I be willing to trade it for what ended up being the Dodge Setter and repairing this, and I said absolutely, and I let him know that this was in fact a horribly lopsided trade, but he had no use for it and wasn't comfortable with doing anything horrific to it, and so it was partially a gift and partially a trade, and I am going to have so much fun with this. I have plans to build an entire vintage Nerf War loadout with this as the primary and a bunch of other pistols as secondaries. Defender T3s and the sharp shot. I can't remember what it's called now. But definitely some tech target eliminators. But this will, of course, be the primary. I'm going to do beautiful, beautiful things to this, and you should look forward to that. So, thank you so much for this trade, for the gifts, for the chance to tinker on a Zeus. This is fantastic. This is going to be so much fun. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, if you want to send me a letter or send me cool stuff or want to discuss a trade, you can do that. All my contact information is in the description of all the videos. If you have any comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts, just want to call me a huge nerd or call me extremely lucky, you go right ahead and do so in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.